Hello everyone, today I'm going to be giving you some of my first impressions after carrying with the TREX Arms SideCar 2.0 holster. I've been carrying this basically about a few weeks now. I ordered it the day that it actually came out, and it came within a few days, so I've been doing a lot with it, just carrying, drawing, practicing, sitting, driving, and basically just using it in the way that you would be using it on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to kind of give a first impressions and my just general thoughts about this holster. It's pretty interesting, and it's kind of annoying to me that I just made a video saying that I was ditching the sidecar style holsters in favor of going to a more traditional style holster, and then this comes out and interested me. So let's talk about what's going on with this holster, why I'm switching back to it, what my general thoughts are, and some of the neat things about it. So I know you've probably noticed by now that this holster is a holster that has a sense of flex in it. And why is that interesting? Well, I think for a lot of people, the sidecar style holster didn't quite work for them because it was a fixed angle, a fixed bend of the cant. So if it didn't perfectly fit with your body, if that angle that it had didn't perfectly match with the shape of your body, it probably wasn't going to work very well for you. Now, I was very fortunate. For a long time, and still to this day, I am very skinny, or I used to be much more skinny. I'm about 6'2", and I typically used to weigh anywhere from 175 to 185, depending on what time of year it was, just based on how much I was eating over the last few months. So I was built like a skinny thought, and I had almost no muscle mass on me, and I was super skinny, aka just like the person that designed the holster. So for me, I thought they worked great. I thought they were fantastic holsters. It allowed you to carry comfortably a full-size gun with a spare mag, and that was really neat because sometimes I wanted to, or I was able to work that amount of stuff into my pants when I was wearing clothing that worked with it. Now, that was pretty cool. But the problem is as my wardrobe sort of changed, as I've gotten bigger over time, as of July, I was 205 pounds, and now I'm back down to 189. I've been cutting. So I put on a good amount of size over the course of quarantine, and now I'm working my way back down. But the way that I dress sometimes, and sometimes I just don't want to carry that much on me, I found myself not really jiving with the bend that the TREX Arms holster had, because it would sometimes show through my clothing. And that wasn't something I was very keen on. So I found that using just a typical holster like this worked pretty well because it carried just the gun. If I wanted a spare mag, I could throw it in my backpack, I could throw it in a bag, maybe my back pocket. A lot of people like using the Neo Mag, but let's get into more just specifically this holster itself. The way that I typically carry it is going to be in one of two ways. Now, the very neat thing about it is it's modular. These teeth, I guess, I don't know what they want to call it, the spine, you can just pop a little pin out of the bottom here and then attach any sort of attachment you can think of. Now, I say that because it is a modular open source system, which is cool, but I think is really, personally, I think that's a pretty smart marketing move on their part, because from the get-go, they released it with the availability to have a tourniquet holder, a rifle mag holder, and even just if I wanted to use a single clip here. So it would allow me to carry this gun with or without a spare mag, with or without the tourniquet, or with or without a rifle mag. They also sell an attachment for handcuffs. I personally did not buy the handcuff model because for me, I don't own a pair of handcuffs. Let me rephrase that. I don't own a pair of handcuffs that I would carry on my person on a daily basis. So for me, I thought the idea of having one holster. Now, one holster, you heard me here. Most people, if you've been carrying long enough, you probably have a box of holsters like I do. This would allow me to have one holster that I can set up however I want, whether I want it just with two clips, just with the single clip, whether I want it with the spare mag, whether I want it with a tourniquet, whether I want it with a rifle mag. It's neat. I think that is very cool. It allows me to have one holster set up how I want it. It also has this little like claw wedge. I think they call it the Raptor wing. It comes from the factory set on the back, so it's a little bit less aggressive and it pushes the gun slightly less into your body. With the way my build is, and I honestly assumed most people actually liked it, by putting it up on the front. So it comes from the factory on the back, which is a little less aggressive. On all of mine, I put it on the front to give it a little bit more torque, pulling that gun a little bit tighter into my body. But then I actually today saw a video from a heavier man who claimed to be heavier, and he said that he generally hears that thicker people like to have that wing on the back. So that was interesting. That was cool. It was cool for me to hear that. Now, this is a very neat holster because it allows me to carry however I want, because it gives me more modularity, and that's neat. I'm not going to really call this a review because I haven't really had it long enough to give you a long-term first impressions. But I am going to say one thing that I don't like, or that I have been having some difficulties with. On all the promotional videos, on all the other videos that I've seen other people put out as far as how easy it is to swap in and out all the attachments, it seems like it's a fairly easy process and that they just get a little tool, boom, pop it, pull it, no big deal. I have been having to, specifically with the mag holder, I've had to hammer in the pin, which has been very difficult to get in. And I've been using this base plate that's actually from Train With Purpose, a company that's pretty cool. They sent me out these base plates. I've actually been having to hammer these base plates, or use a base plate to hammer in the pin because it's so tight. Is that something that might loosen up over time? Yes, that might happen, and that seems neat. But for now, it's fairly difficult. The tourniquet holder, since it isn't a solid piece of Kydex, there is, these holes that it has to go through kind of like bend a little bit. So it gets a little finicky trying to get them all to line up perfectly. So it's not as easy. It's not just a, toolless, use your key, pop it, pull it, super easy. For me, it's been more of like, I need a screwdriver. I need something larger to really ram it through the whole way, pull out my tool, and then pull on the other end. But that's not really that big of a deal. These holsters aren't cheap. There are significantly cheaper holster options out there, but I do think that this is a very cool system for people that are interested in having more capabilities. Personally, I am comfortable sometimes, just with the idea of, I'll just throw my LCP2 in my pocket and I'm good to go. But this is something that allows me to carry significantly more gun and be more prepared, or potentially carry a tourniquet because you're more likely to need this kind of thing. And that's pretty neat. It gives me more capabilities if it's able to work within my wardrobe. And that was the big thing. I talked about in my video when I said I was ditching the SideCar style holsters, that the main reason I was doing it was because it wasn't really working with my lifestyle. I don't want to dress around the gun. I don't want to have everything I do be dictated about, will I be able to carry a full-size pistol? So I found that I was able to carry with just the holster without the spare mag, and that was much more comfortable. This holster allows me to do that, but with this extra flex and with this more form-fitting nature of this holster, I've found that this, with the spare mag, and especially with the tourniquet, I'm able to comfortably and more easily conceal the firearm. So is that something that's interesting to you? Maybe. Hopefully over the course of this, I will have been overlaying some footage of me talking about it. Now, the tourniquet, very neat, because more likely than not, you're going to need to use a tourniquet. This is also actually fairly comfortable. It's not a hard Kydex. One thing about this is, if you properly stage your tourniquets, like all of the Redditors will freak out about, I've found that this prints just a little bit, this little loop, it just doesn't quite sit right, and I see that this little piece pokes out through my shirt a lot more aggressively sometimes. Not all the time. So for me, I improperly stage my tourniquets so that I can have the tourniquet and not have to choose to leave it at home because it's making it more obvious in how it conceals on my body. So for me, I think the tourniquet is very neat. I'm able to carry a magazine with a +6 base plate size on it, which that's pretty neat. 15 plus 1 in the gun, plus, another 20 rounds or 21 rounds. That's a lot of ammo on your body. So for me, that's pretty neat. The rifle mag, okay. The rifle mag, I think, is probably going to be a lot less useful to a lot of people. I am using this 20 round mag. I personally would not recommend, honestly, I don't think this is a very big buy for most people, and I probably wouldn't recommend buying it unless you really wanted it. I bought it solely because it was an option and because I wanted to see how it concealed. I wanted to see if this actually would work. There's a few scenarios where I could think up where it might be neat to have this capability, but I think that's going to be more for a dedicated review video. This is kind of just my first impressions of using it for a while. Now, I have, with this holster, driven 4 hours at once, and it's been just fine because I know how to conceal carry properly. I know how to appendix carry properly, so it's no big deal for me. Some people might find any amount of carrying uncomfortable, but if you wear your gun correctly, and what I mean by that is you don't have your belt super low, you don't wear your pants super low, super high. If you wear your pants properly, what happens is when you bend over at your hips, what should happen is that the gun bends with your upper body instead of sitting in beneath the hip crease and pinching between it. Now, that's going to depend entirely on the person, how you wear your clothing, and that's going to be a very personal thing that you're going to have to mess with, and that's why most people end up with holster boxes, because they try something, and then because of the very specific ratios of how long their legs are, to how big their hips are, to how wide they're, every single measurement of your body is going to dictate how everything works together with it. So you might find that things that work great for me don't work great for you. So if you're very skinny or more slender or more athletic, you might find that this review or this first impressions is more useful to you. But if you are heavier, it might not be as useful to you. That being said, I literally just watched a video today of a guy who said he was 6'3", 250, and he said that this holster works great for him as well. So take that for what you will. Now, as far as my bias, my relationship with the company, I'm talking about that at the end because there is none. The only relationship I have with this company is I occasionally message Isaac and Lucas on Instagram, and I think they both follow me back on Instagram. I don't know. But if that makes me affiliated with them, it doesn't. So I have no actual relationship. I paid full price for this. I've bought several holsters from them in the past. I like the products that they make. There are some criticisms that some people make of them, and that's fine. I'm not going to get into those today. The products are good. This is a good product, in my opinion. It's working well for me so far, and I think that it works for what it is. It's very neat that this is open source in the sense that they put all the plans online so other companies can make attachment systems for their products to work with it. And that's pretty neat. Do I think that that is going to be... what my thoughts on that is that I think that that was a great marketing ploy. I think that that sounds great, and I think that all the people that already really like the company are going to say, wow, great job, guys, and all the fanboys are going to really get their boners working for that. That's pretty cool. Realistically, I don't see a huge future for practical applications other than maybe like a knife. I've seen some knife companies making the attachments for it, but me personally, it's neat. Modular is neat. The idea of modularity is neat. But I don't think that it's that big of a deal. I'm interested in what you guys want to see from a more full-length dedicated review on this holster. Let me know what you guys think down below. This is just my first impressions, my first thought. I will give a longer term, maybe around 6-8 months down the road. I might do a more long-term video review on this because I think that's really how you learn to like something or really get to know something, is with just a lot more time under your belt. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.